Hello there, this is Alexandr from Sinesquares.net, and today we're going to talk about a very cool and helpful utility module by my friends at Clatters Machines, which is called Sonora. Sonora is a spectral mixing output module that comes at 6 HP only and that can act like your end-of-chain output module for your Eurorack setup. Spectral mixing sounds a bit fancy and mysterious, but it means that Sonora is taking advantage of the full stereo spectrum and it's spreading your signal across the stereo field to give your mixes like a full stereo image. It is a 12 input summing mixer, which means that it has 12 inputs in just 6 HP. It also has a headphones output with its dedicated volume knob. It has a master volume knob and a pair of stereo outputs. It also has a stereo LED meter for you to check your mixes and your volumes. That also has like a reference at 0 dB, and it has a soft clip-in limiter circuit at the end at the output stage that can also add saturation to your sound. As we said, while you can sum 12 inputs into one stereo output, Sonora doesn't allow you to tweak any of the volumes of your inputs, so not having separate volume knobs just make it like a summing mixer and not like a performative or tweakable mixer. So in terms of volumes, you have to prepare your sounds using your VCAs or another mixer before hitting Sonora. But what you can do is you can experiment with the stereo nature of your mix in a very simple and effective way. So from top to bottom, you have two hard panned left and right inputs, two mid panned left and right inputs, a low panned left and right input, and two mono inputs. The panning of its input is preset, you cannot change that, and it goes from like fully panned to mono. To make it easier to understand, you can use the lines next to each input. Each line adds around 30% panning. So for example, the input that has two lines, it means that it's panned 60%, around 60% left or right, or 90% at three lines, 30% at one line, and the other two inputs are just mono. So the easiest way to understand what Sonora does is to just listen to some examples. For the first example, I'm going to use the same sound going through all of the inputs so you can understand the panning of its input, and then we're going to run like a full mix through Sonora. Of course, you have to use headphones to understand how Sonora spreads the sound, so this is the time to put on some headphones. So for the full mix, I have an example prepared that we have drums, we have bass that are going into the mono inputs. We have Sibylla, which is like a drone that is fully panned left and right. I also have an arpeggio that is also panned fully left and right. And I also have some melodies coming from choral that are in the mid-panned position. So now you can listen how Sonora spreads the sounds into the stereo field in a full mix. So for comparison, I'm going to use the exact same mix, but this time I'm going to run it through my output module through Ciao by Bastille, and I'm not going to use any panning so you can understand the difference Sonora makes in a full mix. So as I said before, Sonora is a very simple but also very useful tool for your Eurorack setup. When you have a lot of sound sources like I do and you want to mix and pan them into one stereo output, Sonora is great for that because it does just that, and it's only 6 HP, so it's friendly for smaller systems but also for big setups like mine. As every sound source is coming through a VCA in Eurorack, you can use the VCAs for your volumes and then Sonora for your panning, so you can have like a final summed mix that is not only mixed in terms of levels but is also mixed in terms of panning and takes advantage of the full stereo field and gives room for every sound to breathe. So Sonora has 12 inputs, which is kind of incredible for a 6 HP module. It has a great build quality, it has soft clipping and limiter in the end, and it costs around 245 euros, which is not cheap, but I think for the amount of inputs you're getting and the features, I think it's justified. So that was it. Thank you so much for being here. Also, thank you to Clatters for sending me this module. I hope you found this video helpful and helped you demystify this module and what it does. If you did, please leave a like or subscribe to the channel for more reviews like that, and I hope to see you on the next one. Love ya.